Now let's talk about generational growth. What do I mean by generational growth? You will find more information in the document below, and also I will give a link to a video that I made a long time ago before I understood all this vision that I'm sharing with you right now about the apostolic ministry. But the generational growth is the point in which a spiritual family is not adding people to their family. Because what would happen if you have a team of mature believers, youngsters, almost fathers, youngsters learning to be fathers, heading towards fatherhood, and then a baby is added to that group? Then every time you come together, there are many things you won't be able to speak about because there's a baby present. And if you focus on the baby, then all of the whole team is going to focus on the baby. And it's going to be, if there's discrepancies or differences, then it's going to be 8 against 1, which is a little bit aggressive and is not fair. Or the older ones are going to get bored and they are not going to be motivated to keep coming to listen to things they already know, or to discuss things that are already for them second nature. So then you will have to compromise and share something in between that is not strong enough for the older ones and not heavy enough for the young ones. And you will end up having a large group that will be having sermons like in a church, traditional church setting. So what we want is to have a gradual development in the right direction. There can be ages mixed a little bit, but there has to be there has to be a limit in the space. And it's not good to add new people constantly to the team because it brings confusion and it breaks the safety of the team. Remember, you're going to be confessing sins, you're going to be talking about your weaknesses and sharing doubts and confusions. It needs to stay safe. So what happens if there is a new contact? What happens if there is a new person that is open for Christ and is interested? Like when we spoke about evangelism on the traffic light, a yellow light or a green light. What do you do with it? The idea is that either you as disciple maker, or more ideally, you together with a person of your team or of your spiritual family, or just someone from the spiritual family without you, if they are mature enough, that they go to this person's house and they train and disciple that person at home, and they start a new work with that person, separated from the work of your own spiritual family. And in that way, we have one spiritual family, and a new spiritual family begins at a younger age, being younger. And also maybe another one begins from another part of your spiritual family, and then you have an old spiritual family and younger spiritual families around it. So you will have maybe smaller spiritual families, 3, 2, 5 people, but it's better to keep it that way than to mix them all together. Because then it gets heavier, and it gets, you need to still spend some months in building the trust and the confidence and the friendship again. So in that way, you build generations. You have older spiritual families and younger spiritual families, and you want that also the people in those younger spiritual families get the vision of reaching out to new people, and instead of adding those new to their groups, they take responsibility of starting a new work with that new person. On that way, after a while, you will have 3, 4, 5 generations of spiritual families. And that is what we want to see. Because in that way, everybody feels responsible of bringing fruit forth, of bearing fruit. Everybody feels responsible of giving what they have received. And you will see that learning to know is very different than learning to teach. So this will bring a completely different dynamic in the nature of the group. And it's good if we have a sequence of many generations. It is a problem when the person that started the first group, the spiritual father of the oldest spiritual family, is the only one who has new spiritual families, because this spiritual father, or this what can we call it? This apostolic worker or elder, depends. We will explain leadership in coming lessons. This person has also a limit of attention, a limit of help that he can give. Remember, the Lord Jesus had only 12. He had more circles of people that he was influencing, but he only fully trained the 12. And that was the Lord. So I think we should not go beyond that number at one time. Not as a rule, but as an advice. We need to keep that as a reference. Remember, the Lord Jesus is our highest example. And when he said that we would achieve and do greater things than him, he didn't speak about having bigger churches or doing bigger miracles, because I haven't seen anyone doing greater miracles than the ones the Lord did. He was speaking about the fact that his disciples were going to stay. He was saying, you're going to do greater things than me because I am going to the Father. So the Lord had a time span of only 3 years to do everything he had to do. And his disciples had 30, 40 years. So in that sense, we can bear much fruit, we can reach more people, we can do more things, we can be involved in more stuff because we have more time on earth than the Lord Jesus in his physical body. So this is the generational growth. And we need to be checking if you are an elder or the apostolic worker, the founder of this movement in your city or village or community. It's important for you to start doing then comes the work of the overseer, to go around checking that the DNA is passing correctly and purely from generation to generation, and that is not losing the core points that we spoke about in former lessons. So that is what I wanted to share with you about generational multiplication, generational growth. So I hope this is helpful to you.